Hello, everybody. This is Jade Urich showing up on a Tuesday evening. Welcome to another Wildfire live stream. Very excited to be here. So, might as well start us off with a little tune. Something that goes a little bit like this. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But, gonna just bring my my cohort, my collaborator and co-host, Mr. Nicholas J. Jansen, into the house. If we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow.
Lean on me
When
you're not strong.
I'll be
your friend.
I'll
help you carry on.
For
it won't be long.
No, it won't till I'm gone.
I'm going to need somebody to lean on.
What are you drinking there?
Just a little Pepsi.
Swallow your pride. If I have pain, you need to borrow like all your DVDs. For no one can feel you haven't
True.
Dispose of your dramatic needs. Did you watch Squid Game? Did you?
First 3 episodes.
Oh, you haven't finished it?
No, I haven't gone back.
You wouldn't believe this. I finished it.
That's incredible. The man who doesn't watch anything. I think that's wonderful. Well, you watch some TV stuff.
Yeah, I fall asleep a lot of the time, but
you'll buckle down.
Good Game kept me up. I was very focused and attentive the whole time, and just enjoyed it.
No, I really liked it, but then like last weekend was like crazy, and then I kind of just didn't get back into it. But I am dodging spoilers left and right, so I am like Neo in the Matrix, dodging these spoiler bullets.
Yeah, it's hard right now. I mean, I kind of went, because I finished it today, I was like looking at press and stuff and just kind of getting into all that other stuff that goes along with it. But now that everybody is 90% of the world has voted, or 90 countries? It's number 1 in 90 countries or something. It's just like that's. But anyway, enjoyed it. Yeah.
I will.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to have Kevin Rasmussen. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. On the Wildfire Live this evening. Little preface to how we got Kevin onto the show is I used to work at a place called Rolling Pictures, as you can see from the horse insignia here, that has a base in Sault Ste. Marie and also here in Toronto, and is a post-production facility that I worked at for almost 2 years, and Nick worked at when I took vacation.
Sporadically, yeah.
Yeah. So you're totally ingrained in the Rolling Pictures culture. But anyway, Brandon Tobia, the head of post there, who brings in a shitload of projects, just sort of threw Kevin's name out there. I had sort of had a little bit of collaboration with him on some social media content for Rolling, but it's nice to sort of go from there to here and get some of his time tonight, and looking forward to conversing with him about cinematography and what it's like working as a professional cinematographer solely, and what that sort of entails. And when we were both in school, we've always loved holding the camera, and we always still love coming up and composing shots and being both directors and camera operators. But the art of cinematography truly is much more than that.
Absolutely.
So I think
I know nothing in the grand scheme.
Yeah, I know. So we got to keep. That's why I wore a hat tonight. We're learning caps. No, but yeah. Did you want to go? Do you have his bio with you?
I do. I'll at least get it started off here. Since he was a teenager, Kevin has worked as a camera operator, as well as a colorist and camera assistant for some of the best cinematographers in Canada, and has successfully transitioned into full-time work as a cinematographer, gaining a reputation as a dependable, calm, and talented collaborator on set. Kevin's early start to a career as a cinematographer has given him the ability to navigate a diverse palette of formats and genres, from feature films, TV dramas, documentaries, commercials, whereby telling impactful stories has always been what motivates his work.
Nice.
So
I love it. Love it.
that's a well put blurb there.
Yeah, well, and he's all about the community, and we're all about the community here. So it's just really nice to sort of keep that initiative going and talk to people that are sort of like supporters of indie cinema and whatever. But also, like, he worked on a film called Tainted in Sault Ste. Marie that kind of was at one point, like, I went and saw it and was there at like a wrap party for it with Hari Ramesh, a live stream guest of the past day, who gripped it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And Hari, who works at Rolling Pictures, is actually leaving tonight to make his way to Toronto and join the band.
That's crazy.
I mean, he'll probably be a lead singer, so I'm excited for him.
I just saw his story. It was like an emotional goodbye to
Yeah, I mean,
Ste. Marie.
I was expecting like a crazy drone out or something. Like, that was kind of a little anticlimactic. He could have upped his production value for the goodbye, just saying.
Yeah, he really half-assed that one.
For sure. But, he's just not very good at shooting. He's more of an editor, so it's fine.
That's why he just stays in the room.
Oh, man.
Well,
I love Harvey.
shall we bring in the man of the hour?
I think we shall. I think, yeah, just like one more moment to like meditate on Tainted, and just, looking forward to talking to Kevin about his balance of work and life, and being a new father and everything that goes along with that too, and excited to talk to him.
Absolutely. All
right, without further ado, I'll bring Mr. Kevin Rasmussen into the Wildfire live stream. Hello.
Nice. Hello.
Welcome.
Shout out Hari. Safe travels.
Safe travels, Hari.
Safe travels, Hari. Shout out Rolling
How
Picture
are you?
Company. I'm good. I'm doing really well. How are you guys?
Shout out to these guys.
Doing
Rolling
well.
Picture. There you go. Nice hat.
I got paid while I worked there, so I take pride in this hat. No, it's a good hat.
Nice. Right on.
So,
Nice
Kevin,
one.
tell us where you are right now.
I am in beautiful West Hollywood, California, in Los Angeles, working on a TV show.
Nice.
Staying in my favorite part of LA, West Hollywood, right next to the Sunset Strip, so that's always good. Excellent exercise in self-control, because all my favorite bars and places are right here.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, we can't do anything, so
Right.
too risky because we're working. So
this is very true.
Anywho, I'm in Los Angeles.
How's the television show going? You've been on it for 2 weeks now, or 3 weeks now?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks in. It's going pretty well. It's interesting. LA is a little different than I remember it. So shooting in downtown LA is a little insane.
Okay.
It's much sketchier than it used to be, but no, it's going really well. It's a lot of fun.
As a cinematographer, and I mean the head of your department, do you have a team that you're working with that you are familiar with and have good chemistry?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we have a great Marshall J. Kaplan's directing. He's done a whole bunch of great shows. He did, History of Sitcom was his last one on CNN. And Troy Manning is my B camera operator, and he's just the best. So it's a good, really small team, and then some local sound. But yeah, solid team, solid bunch, which is good in these trying times.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, actually. It's a show. It's comedy. So it's, I don't usually do comedy stuff. So it's nice to escape the horror. As much as I love genre stuff, it's nice to be, less murdery, ghosty, horror-y, and more about the laughs. For
sure.
Which is nice. Yeah.
So, I guess before that, like, first of all, how are you? We like to ask that. And how has 2021 been for Kevin?
I'm good. It's weird. It's weird traveling again. It's a very strange thing to be leaving the family, and like coming to America is like a whole thing. But no, it's been good. It's been an interesting year, obviously, the ongoing pandemic, but No, it's been good. I've been really busy, which is good. So
Mm.
it helps keep the mind off things, and bouncing between sort of staying at home and looking after kiddo and letting my partner work, who's an IATSE makeup artist. She's been doing some really cool projects this year, so it's been a really fun bounce back and forth.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What have you been?
How about you guys? You have a good year so far?
I'd say so.
I'm looking forward to next year personally. I'm really looking for. I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel
we'll
like
try
this year's
again.
been a
Try again
weird.
next
It's
year.
been a wash. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
One of these we'll get it right.
one of
yeah.
the-
One day. Oh my god.
no, we're good. I mean,
Yeah.
this live stream has been kind of keeping us sane for about the better half, about a year and a half.
Mm.
So we started in April 2020. So it's been pretty consistent since then, and it's kind of given us a really nice outlet to just stick to and
Nice. Yeah.
be consistent. I think consistency is nice. It meant for helping with mental health and that kind of stuff is just. I mean, it is a lot of work though. We do a lot of these, so it's like, it does
Mhm.
add up and it takes a toll.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And there is sort of like this aspect of like you know you you turn into something big and then it's like you can't control it anymore too. So that's a whole aspect to it as well. But I do enjoy that part of it, and it has me always watching and reading and looking at new stuff with new content that people are creating themselves. Then we talk to them about. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Totally. It's good. Well, it's good to have other creative outlets too. That's not just your work.
Sure.
I'm big
For
on
sure.
that. I love having other outlets and things to do.
Are you? What are you currently? I guess we usually ask watching, reading, or listening to. But what's one of your other outlets outside of that that has sort of been a good escape or kind of just something that take your mind unwind?
Um, well, I mean, lots of things. I spend a lot of time outdoors. I do a lot of trips and stuff. We go on canoe trips and all sorts of things with the guys. Dungeons and Dragons has been a fun one through the pandemic to come back to,
Nice.
which is hilarious and great because none of us have done that since high school. But then all of a sudden it was like, well, why not? But photography, I'm always walking around with a camera, shooting pictures and photography. So that's another one. Yeah, I'm catching up. I'm currently catching up on my backlog of American Society of Cinematographer magazines and
Nice.
True.
Cormac McCarthy novels. So I've got a whole bunch of reading to the Border my way through
That's very
Cormac
specific. I like
McCarthy's,
it.
yeah, the Border trilogy. So I'm on, just finished all the Pretty Horses. This is a good, way better book than the movie. Way better book.
Nice.
I don't know how they fucked that one up, but anyway, maybe it was Matt Damon. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah. You can blame Matt in
anyway,
this instance.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, always trying to keep busy and you know, yeah, reading and listening to music.
Getting in a little bit into your origin story, I guess what got you involved in filmmaking? What do you remember the first time you got your hands on a camera, started experimenting? What that was like?
Yeah, I mean, we were kids. So two of my best friends, Jordan Tuff and Brandon Tobia, who Jade, and maybe you do too. But yeah, so we were like kids, and we would take our Star Wars action figures and our Lego and whatever, and start
Mm.
like take mom and dad's high 8 tape camera and make like Star Wars movies when we were 10. I was fully that kid in high school that would talk every professor or every teacher, excuse me, into letting me make a movie instead of writing an essay. Like I would do that, and so literally, it's like
I I
English
did that
class.
too. I
It
did
was
that
like,
too.
yeah, I would just be like, "Can I make a movie?" And most of the time, they'd be like, "All right, I guess you go nuts." And I would. So that was good. So I mean, like forever. My dad gave me an Olympus OM1 when I was about 10 years old or 11 years old, and I started shooting photos on 35 millimeter, and that became a real treat. Like when you would get your film back, when you get your pictures back, to see how they would turn out was like magic. It was like a crazy, because it was never what you saw with your eye. It was always a little bit different And so that was a real fun thing. But yeah, I mean, since I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got my first operating job when I was 19 on a CBC show,
Well,
working for the late great Richard Stringer, who was sort of my one and only mentor briefly before he passed away from cancer. But yeah, so I started really young. I never went to film school because it was pretty expensive. I remember I was like I had to pay for my own schooling, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to. 4 years at Ryerson was like, I don't know.
okay.
So I went to Sheridan and I studied photography because
Okay.
at the time at Sheridan they were still shooting film, and my whole thing was like I just wanted to learn how to expose film properly
Right.
because things, it wasn't the full digital revolution yet, right? Every movie was still shot on 35 millimeter or 16, but films were still shot on film. So I thought, well, if I'm not going to go to film school, I'll at least learn how to compose and expose a negative properly. So I went to Sheridan and studied photography. But I mean, really, I've only been a full time, like I've only been able to sort of full time be a DP for about 4 years.
Okay.
I've always worked as like, operator mostly for the last decade. But yeah, like I was camera assistant, a grip, electric. I did it all. PAing, I started PAing. I got really lucky with that first operating gig, but um, yeah, that's sort of how it all started. But I mean, yeah, since we were kids, Brandon Jory and I always knew, we were always like, yeah, we're going to go into filmmaking as a career. I think like we never just questioned that. It was like we were having so much fun making movies as kids that it was just like, yeah, this is it.
Well, there has to be a movie made about this, about when you guys were kids and then adults, and go back and forth.
Well, I think JJ already made that movie. It's called Super 8. I think
Yeah.
that's about us.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Yeah.
True.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
do you mind taking us back? I mean, I want to hear more about your. Was it Steve Stringer?
Richard Stringer. Yeah.
Richard Stringer.
Richard.
Talk
Yeah.
about Richard a little bit and what he did to sort of influence you and get you. I mean, obviously, like 19, it's still pretty young, but what you were able to sort of absorb from that experience.
Yeah. Well, so basically, I was shooting. We were always shooting stuff, right? Even through college, it was like I wasn't in the film program, but I was still shooting. Um, and I think Richard basically, it was like I found a couple of cinematographers whose work I admired. Richard is one of them, and through the Canadian Society of Cinematographers website, actually. And he was the only one that returned my cold call. He was like the only one that got back to me. And I would just ask him questions. If I was shooting something and I didn't know what I was doing or how to approach something, I would just email Richard and he would give me an answer.
Right.
And that's sort of how our relationship started. And then one day he was like, "Hey, I'm doing these camera tests. Do you want to come to White's, the CSC clubhouse, and do these camera tests?" And I obviously said yes and went down, and we got along great. That was the first time I got my hands on 35 millimeter, 60 millimeter film and some new digital cameras. And we just got along. I mean, he was old. He was an older guy. He was probably 60, in his 60s at that point. Actually, he was even older.
Right.
He was like mid 60s, but he was just such a nice guy. Like he was like my grandpa, and he just gave me so much. He would just answer every question I had. And that was super, super valuable. And then before we even got through that show, he had to replace himself basically. And he passed away about 2 years later. After that first show in I don't know when that was. Well, I don't even know when that was. 2007. It was a long time ago. But he taught me a lot. I mean, the main thing that Richard taught me was that he was always level. He was like a monk on set. He was like this level-headed guy that just, when shit was going crazy, Richard was like the eye of the storm,
Right. Very calm. Very much.
And that was my biggest takeaway. And it took me a while to actually apply that. But, that's sort of the way I approach things now, is like I try and always just be super, super chill, because it's a stressful enough, a film set, as you guys know, any film or TV set is like chaos most of the time. And When things go awry,
Yeah.
they can go really awry. And so the more that people are, the more people that are just, level, the better it comes out, I think. The better experience it is for everyone.
Yeah. I think it. Yeah. I think it depends on department.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
each
yeah. And it's,
department,
yeah,
you have your
yeah,
own sort
totally.
of like interesting collection of energies in each department, and they kind of balance each other out in that department too. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's true. And Richard also, another thing Richard taught me was about managing a crew, like the way he would work with his team
yeah,
was great. Because again, he was the same with them. He was always very respectful and would listen to other people's ideas and opinions. And he was never just like, no, it has to be my way. And it has to be like this, or he was never like that. And so that's very much the way I am. Like the best idea wins. And if my gaffer has a better idea about how to light something, or the operator has a better shot than I had, great, let's do that. And he was very much like that.
healthy collaboration and a good ability to listen, and yeah, that's
Yeah, big time. Because after all, it's a team sport, right? Like this is, if you want to be an artist and you don't want other people's input or that team aspect, then be a painter or a
yeah.
poet or something. Write a novel.
True.
Nick,
Um, Getting into some of the different disciplines and styles you've dabbled in. Uh, Curious about the differences between commercial cinematography versus stuff like film and television, and what different types of creative muscles you have to stretch or approaches you take for each different style or, I guess, avenue.
That's a good question. I mean, for me, it's always about the story. So nothing is ever the same. Like I'll use the same tricks and the same type of, things like that, but it's always about the story. So the script comes first, and then from there, um, you sort of just break it down. And I mean, the approach is always different. It depends on the director or the producer, the showrunner. In TV, obviously, directors sort of come and go. Usually, DPs are the more staple um, in a TV series. But yeah, it really depends. Like my approach is more based on how the director likes to work, which they're all wildly different. Some directors make shot lists and storyboard, and some do not. They just show up and they're like, "This is what we're doing today," and you're like, "Oh shit, okay, let's go." So it really just depends on what it is. But I'm huge on prep. Like I really love to overanalyze at the beginning and break it down until it can't be broken down anymore. And usually you arrive at what the approach to a film or a project is usually more for me, not so much what it's going to be, but what it's not. Because it's so hard to, I mean, at least at the level I'm working at with the budgets and the stuff I'm working at, it's like um, you almost can't execute what's in your head flawlessly. Like you just can't. It's like, well, I don't have a techno crane, so I can't do this thing because we can't afford that. So how are we going to get the story told the way we need to, right? And so there's so many considerations, but it's always different. Like, and it's so much based on the way the team you're working with likes to work.
mm.
Very much.
would
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it takes versatility on I mean your behalf, and I mean as if it's a director too working with a DOP. I mean, it's always just new people coming in and having to find ways to collaborate. But it sounds like the preparation is the grit and the key, and just
That's the key.
the more time you put into the planning and having a DP that's committed to prepping from a director's standpoint is like the greatest thing, I would say.
Totally.
So I just came off a project where we worked our butts off on it during the production. We didn't get as much prep time, and it's just like, holy hell, it was a stunt action film, very ambitious to get all of that in the amount of hours we allotted. And it's just kind of like the realization of like how much prep we could have put in is there. So it's just like, yeah, I feel you on this.
Yeah, because you work it all out, right? It's like that's when you talk through everything. Like you got to explore every angle. Um, big time. Like you just, yeah, you have to talk it all out. And usually it's like the more you talk about things, the more you learn about people. So if it's someone you haven't worked with before, they never like show their true selves right away. Everyone's guarded, right? It's like a
Yep.
first date. You got to like go on a bunch of dates till you really know who that person is
Damn right.
or what that project is. You know, it might, yeah.
So, in regards to the project and building up a momentum of projects, I guess like what's that like for you in regards to the types of projects that come your way, and in finding a way to define your style and people sort of seeking you out based off of that? And would you say you've come to a point where you have a certain style that people want, or you kind of said it's all in service of the story? But I'm just curious what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally all in service of the story. I like to think I'm fairly flexible, but um, stylistically, like I don't know, it's hard to put my finger on it. I mean, okay, so I like punchy images. You know, I like dark. I like the darkness. I like I was always growing up. My favorite movies were science fiction movies, fantasy films, horror movies.
Okay.
I was never like the drama comedy guy.
Okay.
I love comedy now. I've become a huge comedy, more like stand up. But anyway,
Right.
so I don't know. There's this interesting sort of thing happening in the industry. This like sort of lower contrast, muted sort of vibe. I see a lot of. Instagram's hilarious. So you go through Instagram and it's like DPs. It's like so many people are shooting the same thing. But I like a really classic. Like I like strong images. You know, um, I love Kurosawa and Spielberg and Kubrick and stuff. And like those are really strong filmmakers that just have like really bold images. They don't do the like standard thing.
Mm-hmm.
Strong colors, strong contrast, strong all this sort of stuff. So that's probably my style. But I think it's sort of you end up not pigeonholed, but it's like the more you shoot one thing, the more you get hired for that thing, right?
Of course.
At least in my experience, it is. It's like if you shoot crime stuff, then you're gonna get I get hired for a lot of crime stuff. A lot of these days, a bit more like horror stuff. So it's like I'm doing more horror stuff. But I mean, I'm happy with that. You know, like I'm more than happy to shoot. I've been lucky to shoot some science fiction, some action movies. You know what I mean? That's what I love. You know, if I could just shoot like an alien franchise movies and this type of stuff, I'd be more than happy just doing that. You know, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to define a style because I think your style is always changing. Like I think this industry is really interesting, and filmmaking in general. You're never landing on one particular thing. Like I think it's always changing, and I think that's the best part about it. And what I love about it the most is that you're never fully there. You know, you're always changing. Like Spielberg, one of my favorite directors, great example. Like The Color Purple is not Jurassic Park, is not Ready Player One.
Right.
Like he uses the same tricks, and you could say, oh, you know, he does the like 90-second scene in one shot that's not an overly complicated oneer, but it's, you know, he uses the same tricks, but like stylistically, those movies are completely in different worlds. So I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is that like no one really has a particular style, because okay, maybe some do. Like Wes Anderson has a style, right? Like certain filmmakers definitely have a style, but for me, it's all about evolving, right? Constantly evolving and learning and applying new tricks and things that you've learned along the way, all in service of storytelling.
I've got Alex Spence TV with using the question app.
Oh, hey, Alex.
On Instagram Live. Thank you, Alex, for using.
Alex is a gem.
And Alex is he's got, hi Kev, is there any technology that excites you, either a recent release or something coming up?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you know, broad strokes, LED lighting is the best. LED lighting has like completely, I mean, filmmaking has been democratized big time, right? Like you can go make a movie on your iPhone. I think the most exciting for me right now are all the lenses, all these new lenses. There's like lens companies popping up left and right. There's new, like it used to be, you know, you had your Cooke, you had Zeiss, you had Ingenue, and you had Panavision.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few others, some Japanese company like Sigma and Canon have always been there, and some of these other companies. But like now, there's this crazy oversaturation in the market of lenses, and that's so cool because digital sensors are becoming closer and closer together.
Mm-hmm.
They're all sort of like I'm shooting this show we're shooting on right now. We're shooting on Sony FX9s, and basically they've gone with a Greencast. They're now emulating Alexas,
Mm-hmm.
just like Canon did. Canon put out the C300s have the production matrix now, production mode matrix, which is emulating the Alexa. So the sensors are becoming closer and closer together.
Mm-hmm.
So now your tool to give your project soul is lenses. And no longer are we like, okay, well, you got, your Zeiss and your Cooks and whatever. Now there's all these rogue master build, Atlas, there's just, Tribe, there's all these companies that are just making these great lenses. And it's super exciting. So I would say lenses and then the broadest stroke LED lighting, because it's just the things we can do now that used to be such a struggle. Like, magic, you need to do a fire effect. It was like, oh my God, okay, how are we going to do a fire effect? Now it's like, I put it on my iPhone. I'm like, okay, fire mode, go. And the lights just start doing, you know what I mean? It's like, that's so cool. All these lights have effects and all this stuff, and just not needing as much power, right? Like we can go and make a film without needing, even on a small scale, like a 600 amp Jenny and a Jenny op and all this sort of stuff. Like the last show I did, we didn't have a Jenny op. We didn't have a Jenny. We had a whole ton of
Didn't need
LED
it.
lights. Didn't need it. Would we like to have it? Sure. You'd always like to have more, more people and all that sort of stuff. But really, like what LED lighting can do now is truly amazing. It amazes me every day, and it's really exciting in that sense.
Good question, Alex.
Well, that was a great question. It kind of works into
Good question,
another question
Alex.
we had coming up.
Good guy. Alex is a great guy.
Yeah. Just about the I guess the working knowledge of cinematography. The industry is ever evolving as far as technology, but I guess what are some things that both you've noticed change constantly, and also some things that have just stayed the same throughout your entire time in the industry? What are some things that are just always the same?
Well, the things that are the same are like the principles, storytelling. I mean, I heard you guys talking about Squid Game. Like Squid Game's a great example of excellent storytelling. I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes. I haven't got all the way through it because I'm working and I don't have time. But it's like, it just seems to me like that is amazing storytelling. And people are super into it. People are watching it. They're talking about it. There's no name actors in that. That is a Korean show. That's a long time coming about the predatory lending practices in Korea. But like, it's just good storytelling. That has always been and will always be the same. Storytelling is storytelling. Like whether you're writing or making a film, those techniques and how you tell your story, that stays the same.
Yeah.
What's changed is the biggest change is definitely the technology. It's breakneck pace. Like you can't even keep up, right? It's wild. There's new stuff. Like I don't even bother with NAB or the trade shows anymore because it's just like, I'll just see how it shakes down. Let the stuff come out, let people deal with it, and what survives, I'll check out, because it's just too breakneck. I wish it would slow down a little bit. Like I wish personally, for you manufacturers out there who are probably not listening, put out a good product. Like don't use us as guinea pigs. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like a new camera comes out every year and it's like, well, this is going to be obsolete by next Christmas. So I think, Ari was really good with that. They put out the Alexa, they took their time to put out a digital camera. And when they did, it was the best one on the market. So I think that is definitely the biggest change is, I shot my first few films on film, and hardly any director wants to shoot film anymore. A lot of young directors are, I don't know whether they're afraid of it or they just, I get it. You want to see playback. You want to know what you've got in the can at the end of the day. But yeah, the digital revolution is not just in cameras. It's in everything. And how we work is constantly changing too. I mean, the pandemic has kind of been cool in the sense that it has sped up the transition into certain things, like what we're doing now and working remotely and being able to color grade remotely. and Zoom meetings. Like we don't all have to go to the office anymore just to like sit there and like, you can do it from home. That's
Sure.
great, because one thing that this industry suffers from is just removing your personal life altogether. Like you don't have a life anymore. If you're working on a tier A union show, you have no life. So it's nice because you can go to a meeting and then you can be with your family for the rest of the day, without having to commute to and from. So yeah, I think there's certain things that are beneficial, and then certain things that just um,
Right.
Do you like? I feel like I have to ask the question. It's burning inside me. I mean, your love started with film. Do you not want to still shoot films on film?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love to. I think I'm going to shoot some film. I got something coming up that we're going to shoot on film, so that'll be fun. But um, I also do get it with directors. Like I sort of agree with Roger Deakins and some of the other DPs that it's like it's nice having the latitude of some of the digital sensors and being able to see some of these dual ISO cameras are insane. Like you need way less lighting. And for someone like me that's not shooting these huge, large budget shows,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. Like being able to get closer to what I have in my head with less gear and crew and stuff is fantastic.
Right.
And so in that sense, it's great. And it's shooting on film is nerve wracking for the DP.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do miss about it is that no one told you how to do your job, which there's a lot more of that with digital. Now that there's video monitors everywhere
Eyes on
and
you.
like everyone can read it, it's like, oh, well, it looks a little dark. It's a little dark over there. It's like, yeah, well, that's the way I want it to be. So it's like there's the two schools of thought, right? There's like the David Fincher, and anyway, it's like some people want more control, and so in that sense, it's good. But it's certainly less nerve wracking knowing that you're not going to get a call from the lab that's saying, "Hey, Kevin, yesterday was a little dark. Did you mean to put it down there?" So but I miss it because there's certainly something magical about film, and like I said, it's from when I was a kid, getting your roll of film back and you open up the thing and you're looking at the pictures, like that's just too cool. And it's the same with film. When you sit in a screening room and you're watching the dailies on film, it's like, wow, this is so cool,
Yeah, it's magic. I want to ask,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Oh man, that was from a short film that my friend Carrick directed. That was a good one. That Anthony. Yeah, that was a fun film. So that was like there's some crazy talented people involved in that film. Jessen Moen, who's become an amazing commercial production designer. Carrick Dennison, who works in art, was the director. That was the last time I worked with my girlfriend, my partner, who's a makeup artist.
Oh, really? How long?
Yeah, that was, oh my God. Let me look. I got to pull up the IMDb for that one. That was a long time ago. When the hell did we make that movie? I don't even know. That was like 7-8 years ago. That short.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was fun. That was a good one. I'm actually really proud of how that turned out. I think it turned out really well, considering we shot it in a day and a half. Masks are always fun,
Yeah.
Masks are fun.
We just did a sort of a Mortal Kombat inspired the action film. I'm talking about figures, and everybody it's like the black organization, the red organization. So a lot of mask wearing, and also just mask wearing because masks have to be worn. So it just sort of works out.
That's funny. I watched the new Mortal Kombat movie on the flight over here, and I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't supposed to enjoy it, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying to go for the brutal action thing. It's more of like a subtle thriller drama that sort of just has some very like, I guess just little Easter eggs, little tiny Easter eggs planted.
Nice.
Nothing too
nice.
overtly IP using or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. I want to jump on over to a pretty wild film that you shot up in Sault Ste. Marie that I almost got the opportunity to come out and do maybe some work on. It was with the first AD from this film, who was a past
Ryan. Yeah,
live stream
nice.
guest. Is the film
Mm-hmm.
Tainted
Yeah.
that shot up
Okay.
north in Sault Ste. Marie, the Sioux, as
Mm-hmm.
a few of us, we've all been there. And you're working with Gear Shift Productions with
Yep.
Jordan and Borga.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the isolation of the Sioux and that terrible winter you guys had to experience.
Oh man. Well, I mean, that whole film, that was, it's crazy how good that turned out, considering what we were up against,
Right.
honestly.
Mm.
It was like, yeah, so I've never been in a place where there's a blizzard every single night. It was like without fail, just like blizzard every night. It was kind of cool at first, and then when we got to production, it was like we would have like a street plowed to be able to put scissor lifts and stuff, cranes and stuff.
Mm.
And we would show up the next morning and there would be a 15-foot mountain of snow where yesterday we had cleared it. So it was like, we had minus 30-degree days where like lenses were freezing, trucks wouldn't start, generators wouldn't start. It was an insane challenge, but what we got out of it was great, and it was a really interesting experience. I love Sault Ste. Marie. I love shooting there. I love border towns. Any border town to me is like cool because border towns have a different energy, right? It's like I don't know. There's something about being across the river from another country that like you can't go to. There's like the forbidden place over there. You're like, there's America. See the flags. But yeah, border towns just have a different energy, and so for that, in that sense, it was really cool. The locations are amazing. Like we got so lucky with some of our locations. It wasn't easy because they came and went. Like we were losing locations as fast as we were finding them.
Right.
But yeah, it was a challenge. Like any time you're trying to make a movie in 14 or 15 days, whatever we had to do it, it's not easy. That's crazy. We had a great team and we're able to pull it off. But yeah, the snow was wild. Like where like people couldn't come and go. Like they were canceled. There was canceled flights. It was wild. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like I love Sault Ste. Marie. I can't wait to shoot up there again. I would shoot there again in a heartbeat because again, American style feel to it. So the whole point of Tainted that Brent and I wanted was that it didn't really have a setting. Like it was set in Canada, but it never says where. We almost didn't want it. It was like this whole struggle, like what money are we going to use? Like where is this even taking? We have money. We got a briefcase full of cash. What's it going to be?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Sault Ste. Marie is it sort of feels like anywhere and everywhere, in a sense, Yeah. And I think that's really cool because for me, escapism is kind of the best part of films, and I think that allows for more of that. It feels more like, you don't know where you are, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, and then wrapping it up and bringing it down to Brandon's own Rolling Pictures and going through the post process there. Just curious on what that was like for you, and any highlights in the color sessions or anything along that way that kind of really was just a good celebratory part of it for you.
Yeah, well, it's the most fun. That's the funnest part. Actually, I don't know. Maybe prep's the funnest part. Post is the funnest part. It's the most rewarding part because making movies and it's really, really hard. It takes an insane amount of focus and energy and sacrifice on the part of an entire crew. So it's rewarding. Getting to sit in a dark theater and see it on the big screen is super, super rewarding. Sometimes horrifying and disappointing when you're like, oh man, we really fucked that up. Like, let's just take that scene out. But for the most part, it's super rewarding, and it's great. I mean, Drake's great. We had a lot of fun, and I give a huge credit to the producers for allowing me to stay involved. Because that's another thing that can be a bit of a struggle, I think, more than people realize is cinematographers just get cut out of. It's like when you leave set on that last day, Most, especially in TV, it's like your opinion is no longer, you are no longer wanted or needed. They're going to do what they want with that footage. They're going to do what they need to do to make their show the way they want it, and that's it. You have no say. And so, huge credit to Jordan and Borga and Maddie for letting me sort of go in and do my thing. Like they had no real notes, so Drake and I and Brent were able to sit there and really give it the polish that we wanted and do all the things that you couldn't do on set. Because again, um, a big part of cinematography, as I've learned in recent years, is knowing when to walk away and just roll the camera and say, "I'm like, let's just shoot. We got to shoot." Because if you take half an hour to relight a close up from a wide shot, your actor loses, the cast loses it, like everyone loses that energy. And so it's a big part of my job is knowing when to just go, okay, we're good. Let's shoot. You know, and you tell Ryan Port, all right, I'm ready. But it's really about knowing when to say, and then you go in the color grade, and then you can sort of fix those things. You start throwing your power windows, and you can sort of tweak the.
Right. Sure. Um, so speaking of, hmm, speaking of Ryan Port and a previous wildfire guest, and just working in collaboration with directors and first ADs, what are the expectations on you in that collaboration, and what is it like working with those individuals?
Yeah. Are you still
Oh,
here? Check. Check 1 2.
mhm.
There,
Yep,
Yeah, it's a little blur,
a little in and out.
little in and out. I think in the modern age.
It's all right. Fair enough. Yes.
you have to be able to time your day out, right? It's like the sun is at a certain place in the day, and you need to know when you need to be there. So
Mm,
it's really important, and just knowing your timings, right, and knowing how long it's going to take to light something or set something up. All of that is done by the ADs, so they're really your best friend. And I always have a great time with ADs. I love working with ADs. They're, a good AD is absolute solid gold. Um,
mm,
super, super, super crucial. Scheduling is everything, right? Like if you're not in the right place at the right time, you miss the light. If you don't have enough time to light the scene, it's going to be, everyone's going to be waiting on you, and the cast gets grumpy, and directors are like, "What's going on?" So it's really, really, really important. And Ryan's great because Ryan's a director, so Ryan kind of like understands more than maybe my favorite ads are ads that like really understand story and have read the script thoroughly and are really into it.
mm.
That don't phone it in, because an AD that's phoning it in and just yells and is like, "Let's go," is the worst.
Right.
Um, so super, super important for sure.
In regards to some of the tough times, the chaotic times that can kind of happen in having a career in film, what are some ways, I guess, that you support, or you find support for yourself and supporting others in your departments, on the crews that you work with, to keep spirits high, and to sort of, I mean, just to be there for one another, I guess. I mean, what are some strategies you use for that? And do you find that or is it just sort of something that you just do, or you don't? I don't know.
There's only one thing that you need to know and do is don't be an asshole. That's all there is to it. Like, don't be a dick. Don't be mean to people. There's absolutely zero reason to be rude or short or anything with anybody on set.
Unless they're on drugs.
Yeah, unless they're on drugs. But then it's like, listen, I've had to fire people before, and it's not easy. But you take it off set. If you have to, if a conversation needs to be had, you pull someone aside and you have a conversation. But really, the most thing you can do is everyone have each other's backs. So I always have my crew's backs. They know that if there's anything going on, they can come to me.
Yep.
And if I need to go talk to a producer or a PM and deal with something, I will. But really, like, the be all end all for me is just be nice to anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter, even if they're not in your department, even if somebody's doing a terrible job of something or sucks and is just doing something absolutely brutal. Like, you can't necessarily do anything about it in the moment. So you go and you have a conversation with someone after the fact and say, look, I don't think this isn't really working out, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, and I think one thing that's really important to remember for a lot of cinematographers, and I've just learned this really, like, is that you are responsible for everything on camera. So if you're not happy with the wardrobe and you're like, oh, like, this wardrobe sucks, they keep coming out in this thing. It's like, well, it's your lighting and it's your lenses and you're the one. So if you don't like it, then maybe you should have gone to the wardrobe department to see what they're doing beforehand, before this stuff shows up. Because it's like, literally everything is your responsibility. It's all filters through my lens, right?
Yeah.
So everything filters through you. So it's important to remember that and not come down too hard on people. But the bottom line is just be nice, be cool. Like, there's no need. It's a stressful enough job. Everyone gets, by the end of a shoot, everyone's exhausted. Everyone's hungry and tired and just like over it usually. And so, there's no point in having a temper and getting angry or being a jerk to someone. Like, everyone should have each other's backs, because you never know, for one thing, where your next job's going to come from. You never know who you're going to work with. Maybe that PA is going to become a producer or a showrunner, and you're up for a job and they're like, yeah, that guy, no way. So it's really important to just always be nice. I think that's the bottom line for me. Even if someone's not doing a great job, you can deal with that in a certain way, but yeah, just have each other's backs.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. It really is as simple as that.
Right. And then talking about work-life balance, we always like asking people both the role that family plays in your life, as well as the give and take of, family time and work opportunities that may arise, the way you balance that and what works best for you.
I mean, it's tough. It's really hard. So my partner and I had our first child just over 2 years ago. And so I almost like can't comment, because the pandemic is this weird neutral, like, I don't know. I don't even know. We don't know what life is like having a child and working in this industry. I'll tell you, it's super stressful. It's really stressful having both Anita and I working in the film industry, because our hours are insane. And my partner is an IATSE makeup artist that works on tier A shows. She works on the biggest shows in the city. And she works really, really long hours. And we're still working through this, like, taking turns thing, where she'll do a film and then now I'm coming down to do this show. She's done 10 months straight. And in that, like, I shot a couple shows while she was on her shows, and we were getting childcare and stuff. And it's really, really challenging. And so we're learning now that we need to prioritize family more and balance more. And that means sometimes turning down a job, and it sometimes means taking a break. But I do think this industry in general suffers from chronic work overload. It's like, if you're not working, who are you? No one seems to be able to just take a break in this industry. because it's like, oh, you're not working, well, I guess you suck or something, you
Right.
know. It's like there's this weird
You fell
mentality
off.
that's like, yeah, it's like, oh, I have to constantly be working, or like I'm obsolete
Mhm.
or irrelevant or something, you know, which I think is a real shame because people burn out. I've really, maybe it's, I'm getting older and I'm seeing my friends and people that I know start to burn out. I also have friends that have left the industry because of the hours and the long, the long days and all that sort of stuff. And, at the end of the day, it's a real challenge. And I wish there was more support for families, my partner's doing, if she's going to do a film in March, that's, I won't go too into it, but they're going to have childcare on set because the director
Mm.
and the DP is a bunch of women, and a lot of them have kids, and so
Sure.
they're going to just have childcare on set. So it's like your kids can be there
That's
because it's
amazing.
not when school is in session, and it's like it's summer, and there just needs to be more, especially for women. I think more support for moms and parents because there's just this really like, oh, it's almost like if you have a kid, you're not going to be able to dedicate yourself to the project enough, and so people
Right.
will just choose someone else because of that. But um, the flip side of it is that being a parent in the industry gives you perspective, and perspective is really important because I almost feel like since having a child, I'm bringing more. I don't know. It's weird. There's just a different perspective to it, and you can bring something else to a project. But it's hard.
Mm.
It's really really hard. It's hard for me being away. This is the first time I've been away from my son, and it's like it's really tough. But I will say, I can't imagine what it was like 20 years ago for parents that would go and work because like we FaceTime almost every day, right? Like we get to see and talk, and that's amazing. And so that eases the pain a little bit. So I think it's getting both easier. It is getting easier for parents, but I do wish there was a bit more support, especially for the moms who, you know, I don't know. I think in general there's not enough support for parents in the industry.
Sure.
Yeah, shout out to sort of, I guess, the initiatives being led by the unions in the States and stuff more so than here, but just in regards to some sort of reform or yeah, getting at a place where it's a little bit more sort of just like you said, it's the overload. It's the 15, 16-hour shifts where you have a 2-hour drive home. Like it's just there's aspects of this work
Yeah,
that can be dangerous and not good. So it's good to
and it's completely unnecessary.
you got
It
to
is
recognize that now.
completely unnecessary.
For sure.
Mm.
Like if you do the math, the overtime hours work out to just adding a day or two to your schedule.
Yeah.
Like it really makes no sense. I mean, I know a lot of it's based on cast and actor availability. That seems to be the primary driving. It's like, oh well, so and so is only available this day, so we're going to 20-hour day,
Mhm.
and that's a shame. I think it's really unnecessary, especially when you really start doing the math and looking at and all the buyouts and turnaround buyouts and overtime and all that sort of stuff. It's really not necessary. So I hope it leads to some change. I mean, there's a strong push for it, and hopefully it doesn't mean that the Canadian industry gets taken more advantage of.
Right.
Because for American production companies, it's certainly cheap labor.
Absolutely.
The exchange between the exchange rate and the like 60% labor tax credit, you're laughing if you're an American production company.
Absolutely.
So
Well, I mean,
And
this has been
I think
a lovely chat with you, Kevin, and I really just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. I mean, now hopefully you can go back to some Dungeons and Dragons or some of your part-time investments. Maybe watch some Squid Game.
Dungeons and Dragons is the best. It's so great. Like I love. I'm not a writer or anything, but it's so fun being able to play with your friends and your friends give you these creative ideas, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna like incorporate that, and it just becomes this great. It has been the best creative outlet during the pandemic. Honest to God, it's been so fun. We've been on a hiatus because I'm too busy,
Mhm.
and I don't know whether you guys play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running games
my
is a lot of work. To do it
my
right, like
brother,
to make it fun,
yeah,
is yeah.
right. Now my brother still does these meetups with his high school friends, and lately they've been doing it over Zoom. But yeah, it's fascinating hearing him talk about it. I don't quite get it, but just he shows me these pages of stuff and his characters and all this, and I'm all for it. So
Hey, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. And if you're into it, like I said, I grew up like fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, Willow was like my favorite movie when I was a kid. You know, it's like
Right.
these types of things. It's great. But yeah, it's certainly fun. And then the payoff is getting to spend time with your friends. That's not just like hanging around, drinking beer, you know, screwing around, doing whatever you do. It's
Right.
actually like something fun and creative, and you never know what's going to happen.
Well,
That's sort of
you're
the
going on
fun.
an epic quest, and you are building not just characters on the board, but yourselves as well. And
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
so,
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's like yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun. But just world building in general. I mean, it really makes sense for me as a filmmaker. It's like that's sort of the best part, right? World building is a lot of fun.
Mm.
It's a lot of fun making crap up and people responding to it. You know, it really is.
well, I hope while you're in LA, at least you can get out, maybe go see some stand up comedy or go and see the sights a little
Yeah,
bit.
we will.
Yeah,
We're definitely going. I mean, we're working with all these. We were shooting at the Laugh Factory today, and I think
nice.
we're going to go to the Comedy Store tomorrow. So we're definitely spending a lot of time. We're going to go hang out with Tom Arnold tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Nice. Say hi to Tom
Um,
for us.
yeah, Tom, and then Gilbert Gottfried is the next one. I'm looking forward to meeting Gilbert because he's something else. So
Oh, nice.
a lot of fun.
Is this a documentary?
Yeah, so it's there's a it's a Viceland show, so
Okay.
it'll be on Viceland HBO. But it's called The Dark Side of Comedy. So there's a popular series called The Dark Side of the Ring,
Yeah.
which is like the wrestling show. I think they've done a couple other ones, Dark Side of Football and stuff. But yeah, this is The Dark Side of
Cool.
Comedy. So it's basically a docudrama show. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thing for me. This is sort of like a bookend for part of my career because I started the first show I ever operated on was a docudrama, crime
Okay.
docudrama.
Okay.
I spent years on the road shooting the doc side of docudramas. Then I transitioned to as I got more experience, I started shooting the dramas. Now this is the first time I'm going to be able to do both. I'm shooting all the interviews and I'm going to shoot all the drama recreations and stuff. So
Oh, that's cool.
it's sort of something I've always wanted to do, to be able to like put my stamp on an entire show.
Nice.
Because for years it was like sort of halfway there, I'd watch a show and go, oh man, like I love this scene, but man, these interviews suck. Like this looks so terrible. So I would be so disheartened. You know, you'd shoot this great drama and then it would cut to this poorly lit interview and be like, oh man, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. It's sort of, this will be the last sort of docudrama I do, and this will be the final thing. So complete circle, you know?
I very much enjoyed what was the Jim and Andy one. That was quite the. I guess I don't know. Was that a docudrama? Because it's just a documentary. There's no reenactments there, but it is something.
Yeah, no, we're doing reenactments, so that'll be funny. I don't know how. I guess they're gonna like cast Chris Farley lookalikes or something.
Oh
I
my
don't know how
God.
that's gonna go. We'll see. We'll cross that
We
bridge
can't.
when we get to it, but
That sounds awesome.
it's gonna be a good show. So,
Looking
yeah,
forward to
looking
it.
forward to it.
We'll definitely check it out once it's all said and done, and hope to just hear more good things in the future from you, man. And I wish you all the success and keep it going. Keep the good
Yeah,
vibes
thanks,
going.
guys.
Keep the
Thank you
calm
very much.
level.
Keep in touch.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Stay cool, everyone. Just keep it
Nice.
cool.
Don't
That's
be
all
an
you gotta do.
asshole.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Keep it cool. Be
It's
nice,
nice to
because
meet
like
you,
I said,
Kevin.
you never know when someone's gonna become your boss.
Right.
Yeah.
That was nice to meet you, Kevin. Thanks for
Nice to
coming
meet
on.
you too.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks everybody for all the love in the chat. You've got a lot of great comments here and compliments and love here for your answers.
I love it. I mean, like, you know, like I told you earlier, Jade, it's, you know, the community aspect and the friends you make. I mean, I've made lifelong friends in this industry, and that's kind of the best part for me, is working with people and just, yeah, making new friends. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
Who's going to become your best friend.
It's lovely, man. Lovely
Yeah.
sentiment. Lovely, man. Thank you very much for your time tonight, and enjoy Squid Game.
No worries, guys. Yeah, I'm sort of saving. I'm gonna power.
Yeah,
walk
same,
it.
same.
I'm not gonna touch it because I just like
Smart, it's smart.
There you
I'm
go.
very much a like
You won't
bulk
sleep.
consumer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I can't wait till I gotta just watch it all.
There you go.
Anyway, all right, guys.
All
all
right.
the best.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks. Thanks everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.